Hey, this is Mr. Janes. In this video, we're going to be talking about the basics of circles, naming the different parts, such as center, radius, diameter, circumference, tangent, secant, arc, and chord. If you remember these things from middle school, that's great, and this will be a good review for you. If you don't remember these things from middle school, or maybe you didn't cover them, that's okay too. You'll just have to pay very close attention to this video so you can catch up. At the end of this video, if you're very confused still, you should ask a friend for help or come see me for extra help, because this is going to form the basis of everything we do with circles for the next couple weeks. So let's begin. First, what is a circle? Well, a circle is the set. It's the set of all points. Set of all points at a given distance from the center. Okay. So it's the set of all points at a given distance from the center. So here's what that means. Every circle has a center, like right there. And all of the points on the edge of the circle are the same distance from that center point. Right? All of those points are the same distance from that center point. And so we have a few special names for parts of the circle. We already talked about the center. Let's call that point O. So my center here is going to be point O. Another special name we have is the radius. Now the radius is the segment, or the distance, from the center of the circle to the outside edge of the circle. So if we call this maybe point A, then one of my radii is segment AO. On the other hand, the diameter is the segment that goes from one edge of the circle through the center to the other edge. If we call that point B, then one of my diameters is segment AB. Lastly, the circumference, which we're not going to talk about too much just yet, is the distance around the outside of the circle, all the way around the circle once, the circumference. So the circumference, again, is the distance all the way around the edge of the circle, just like that. All right. So at this point, we're going to answer 5 basic questions about radius, diameter, and circumference. If you feel comfortable and remember these things from middle school, you should pause the video here and try questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then unpause it to see how you did. If you don't feel very comfortable with radius, diameter, and circumference, you can watch these to give yourself a general idea of what to do. So go ahead and pause the video. Alright, let's take a look. Before we begin, we should remember some basic formulas. So first thing we need to remember is that the radius is half the size of the diameter, or that 2 radii equal 1 diameter. So we can write down 2 times the radius equals the diameter. With that, let's try 1 and 2. If the diameter of a circle is 10, what is the radius? Well, the radius is half of the diameter, so the radius is 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Number 2, if the radius of a circle is 4, what is the diameter? Well, remember, we need 2 radii to make up a diameter, so 4 times 2 equals 8. My diameter is 8. Let's look at 3, 4, and 5 next. We're going to need some additional formulas for that. These deal with circumference. How do we connect diameter, radius, and circumference? Well, here's how. The circumference is defined as the diameter of a circle times pi, which is 3.14. Alternately, we could say that the circumference is 2 times pi times the radius. That makes sense because the radius is is half the size of the diameter, so we need 2 radii to make the circumference. So let's look at 5, and 6. Here we go. Number 3. If the diameter of a circle is 5, what is the circumference? Well, all you've got to do is take the diameter, 5, and multiply by the circumference, pi. A lot of times we'll actually leave our answer just like this, 5 pi. We call that exact form or pi form. We could also do that in terms of a decimal. We do 5 times 3.14. And let's see, 5 times 3.14 gets us 15.7. Number 4, if the radius of a circle is 5, what is the circumference? Well, remember, the radius of a circle, we need 2 of those to make the diameter. So we can use this formula right here. So 2 times 5 is 10. This is going to be 10 pi if we left it in exact form or pi form. Or we could do it out and get a decimal. 10 times 3.14. That will get us 31.4. So either of those answers work, depending on whether you want exact form or you want it in decimal form. Number 4. If the circumference of a circle is 6 pi, what is the diameter? Now here you'll notice we're going backwards. We can use the formula to help us out. We know the formula is pi d equals the circumference, which in this case is 6 pi. Okay. Now to solve for the diameter, I have to divide both sides here by pi. So the pi's cancel out, and the pi's actually also cancel out on that side. So my diameter in this case is 6. If you want to do this a little bit faster, you can just think, to go from diameter to circumference, I have to multiply by pi. So to go from circumference back to diameter, I have to divide by pi. 6 pi divided by pi. Well, the pi's cancel out, and I'm left with just 6. Either way works. Let's look at the last one, number 5. If the circumference of a circle is 6, what is the radius? Well, this is similar to the last one, except we don't have 6 pi, we just have 6. So if the circumference of a circle is 6, let's see. To get back to the diameter, I would divide by pi, and then to go from the diameter to the radius, I would divide by 2. So I have 6 divided by pi, and let's see, 6 divided by 3.14. Okay, that brings us to 1.91, and that's my diameter. But now I need the radius, so I divide that by 2 again. 1.91 divided by 2, and that brings me to 0.955, and so that would be my radius. All right, sounds good. Hopefully at this point you have a basic understanding of radius, diameter, circumference, or you've at least reviewed from middle school. Now we're going to learn some terms that you might not have learned: tangent, secant, and chord. These are 3 special lines that appear on circles. A tangent is a line that intersects a circle at one point. For example, this right here is a tangent if it hits that circle at that one point. This is another tangent. It hits the circle at one point and goes away. It just skims the circle just like that. An example that wouldn't be a tangent would be something like this, right? It's not a line, that's a segment. Or something like this, because it intersects that circle at 2 points. It's not a tangent. These are tangents, just 1 point, skims the circle. A secant is a line that intersects a circle at 2 points. So for example, this is secant. Okay, 2 points right there. This is another secant, 2 points right there. On the other hand, this is not a secant. That is a segment, right? Not a line. Also, this is not a secant. That's a tangent, right? Just intersects at 1 point, whereas a secant intersects at 2 points. A chord is a segment with endpoints on the circle. So a chord is actually kind of part of a secant. This is an example of a chord. This is another example of a chord. Why not? This is another example of a chord, right? Intersects at endpoints on the circle. This is not a chord, right? That goes all the way through and keeps going. That's a secant. That's a line. This is not a chord, right? From the center to the outside. That's a radius. Okay. So now that you know what a tangent, a secant, and a chord are, it's time to try and do some more conceptual questions. So take a look at questions 6, 7, and 8. Pause the video now and try and answer these questions. When you're finished, unpause the video. Alright, let's take a look at 6, 7, and 8. 6. Can you draw a line that intersects a circle at 3 points? No, you can't. You can only draw a tangent at 1 point, or maybe a secant at 2 points. But 3 points? I don't know. That wouldn't be a line. Nope. The answer is no. Doesn't work. For 7. Can you draw a line that is neither secant nor a tangent to a circle? Well, let's see. A secant intersects at 2 points. A tangent intersects at 1 point. we talked about how you can't have anything that intersects at 3 points. So maybe not. Well, wait, couldn't you have a line that intersects a circle at no points? What about something like this? It doesn't even touch the circle. I guess you could do that. Yes. Yes. It could intersect. Oops. Intersect at no points. That works. And then 8, what would you call a chord that passes through the center of a circle? Well, let's see, a chord goes from, it's got its endpoint in the circle, goes to the center, okay, goes to the other side. What would you call that? Well, that's a diameter. Right, a chord that passes through the center of a circle is a diameter. In fact, a diameter is a type of chord. All diameters are chords, but not all chords are diameters. Right? I could have a chord that looks like this. It's not a diameter. Right? But every diameter is a chord, so that's good for question 8. The last vocabulary term you have to learn is what an arc is, and we're not going to deal too much with arcs just yet, but we will in a few days. An arc is part of a circumference. It's part of a circle consisting of 2 points in the circle and the unbroken part of the circle between those 2 points. So here's an example. An arc is just maybe from here all the way around to here. That's an arc. It's part of that circle. Let me give you another example. An arc could be from here all the way around to here. That's a bigger arc, but it's still an arc. Oops, arc. Okay. So, in this video, we've learned the words diameter, radius, tangent, circumference, secant, chord, and arc. At this point, you should be ready to try some practice problems. If you're still confused with any of those above problems, you can try the practice problems, but I would recommend you get help before moving on. Good luck!